Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement, presented by 3Chi and Barstool Sports. I am your host, Robbie Fox, and along with my co-host, the birthday boy. It's not today, but it was this week. Clem, what's going on, Clem?
Another year older, another year wiser. That's not true. You guys know that. You listen to me, so you know that.
One of those things is true.
Yes, exactly. One of those things is true. Another year truly is another year dumber. Sienna was watching The Simpsons, and I realized how much I have turned into Homer Simpson, which low-key isn't a bad thing. I think Homer has a pretty sweet life when you look back at it. When you're young, he's just this kind of crazy character, but got a couple kids, got 3 kids that love him, a wife that loves him, decent job, and all things considered, he's doing okay. So that's my
you
goal.
Are kind of Homer. Like if you and Dave had a worse relationship, really, because like you and Dave love each other. He doesn't love Mr. Burns. You know what I mean?
Wow, I never even thought about that. Yeah, that's a good call. That's a really good call.
That's the only difference. Family life and everything. Like you got a son that's driving you crazy all the time. I mean, you're Homer Simpson.
Dude, I was just watching this episode and he's like, me and the boy, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, basically saying, I'm like, oh my God, that's me and AJ to a T. And Sienna is very much Lisa Simpson. Man, all right. So, little teaser.
Am I Millhouse next door? Like,
yeah.
Who am I?
Well, let's see. Homer, you be my, it's like you and I guess KFC could be my Lenny and Carl.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
KFC might be more Carl. I'll say that, but we'll just leave it at that. But you're definitely my Lenny, and it's a wacky, crazy world we live in here. So the dozen is this. Maybe me and Dave have a explosion on the dozen, and this is what turns him into my Mr. Burns. We'll have to tune in and watch out. What is it next week?
Yeah, I was going to say this was the dozen week at HQ. Always some of the best days at Barstool. When you have the dozen tournament day, everyone flies in. It has that old school Barstool feel for 2 days at least. And I thought that was awesome. I thought it was just worth highlighting, getting to see everyone.
Yeah, and listen, no spoilers. We're not even going to, do the spoiler warning.
We wouldn't dare.
We'll slit our throats. He'll come out of our computers and slit our throats on the spot. It was really a lot of fun. And I was at the hotel bar. It's like a bar restaurant, and it was like me, Eddie, Briggs, Castellani, RDT, and we're just watching the Laker game. And we're like, there are some people missing though in dozen week. And Eddie said it best. He's like, having RA around, and RA would be like in the office, whether it was 3 p.m. or 3 a.m. Even though we had a hotel room. Right. And then you had the Chicago guys are always great having around, just always being in the mix. So there was a couple beats that were missed, and even Khan's being in the office. We didn't see him at all. So definitely a good week for the dozen week. And I'm excited for everyone to see all the crazy. It was some crazy games happened. Jeff tweeted. I take what I'm allowed to say based on Jeff tweets. So we had some all-time games.
Yeah.
That's all I'm allowed to say right now because there was some shit that went down. Holy moly.
I'll say this, there were matches so good that everyone stuck around till like 7 o'clock at night at the office, which is very rare for Barstool at this point. It used to be commonplace. Now it's very rare to get people past 5, but everyone was sticking around just being like, I want to watch this in person, which was awesome, like having that feeling back.
People coming in early, leaving late. What a while. It's almost like a workplace now. What's going on here? Do you hear my guy, Bob? This is a guy who's been traveling. He's fighting it right now. I can hear the jet lag.
I know you hear me. I'm a little sick. I'm a little bit sick. I just came back from Las Vegas. I was there for 2 days, not even 48 hours. I flew in very late on Tuesday, stayed the day on Wednesday, flew back yesterday on Thursday for Power Slap 2, which I've talked about on this podcast. I'm not the biggest Power Slap guy in the world, but Uncle Dana was like, listen, can I fly you out, put you up in a hotel room and invite you to the Power Slaps? I was like, I'm not turning that down, Uncle Dana. People are so mad at me for taking the hotel room right now on Twitter. Journalistic integrity, what happened? I'm paying off the media, blah, 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 blah. I had to tell these people, I'm the guy who makes dick and fart jokes and protests court dates. I ain't the journalist. We got enough journalists at MMA. I'm the guy who makes a big joke and a big hokey thing out of everything. It's Barstool. He also flew out Taylor Lewan from Bussin' with the Boys. First time I ever really got to meet Taylor. I've seen him in the office, said hi, but we went to breakfast. What a great guy. Such a nice guy. We had a great time. Flew at the Nelk Boys. Nobody's mad at the Nelk Boys. I met the Nelk Boys. They were nice. They knew who I was. I was surprised by that. But yeah, it was a good time. Power Slap is fucking insane to watch in person. Seeing these people get knocked out, they are smacking the shit out of each other. Every one, I was like, oh my God, you couldn't pay me enough money to do that. But it was some experience. And shout out Uncle Dana, shout out the whole casino and hotel. They treated me like a king. It was nice. I liked it.
What was more shocking to see the first time in person? Because I've never been to Power Slap. I've never been to a UFC fight. I've been to a couple boxing matches. Was more like, because I mean, obviously UFC, you have a million different ways to like injure someone, but the guy has a chance to protect themselves, right? Where this is just slap me in the face.
It had to be Power Slap. Yeah. It's just so jarring to see someone step up, put their hands behind their back and be like, take your best shot. And then they get knocked out with the first shot. And it's like, well, why'd you do that? It's like you win the coin toss, and it's the most important coin toss in all of sports. Every other coin toss is like, all right, we'll get the ball first. This one is you get slapped first. Sometimes you just get knocked out on the first smack. It's crazy.
Like if Power Slap ever reaches, which Uncle Dane is going to love this, Power Slap ever reaches the level of the NFL, there's going to be a lot of angry people in this world. Because I had to hear all the crying, Josh Allen didn't get a chance to get the ball. It's like his fucking defense just rolled over and died against, granted, Patrick Mahomes, but they rolled over and died twice in 5 minutes. So I can't feel bad. And that was, an entire season on the line and the playoffs, blah, 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 a chance for the Super Bowl. These guys, it's like coin flip, boom, done. Because it's like I would love to be in the meetings where they're like, all right, how do we have it where the other guy gets a chance? And it's like, well, he's basically fucking in lava land for another 36 hours probably after he gets slapped. So that's crazy. Yeah. And also, by the way, to all the fucking babies out there, if you send us out to a nice place, we're gonna fucking it ain't gonna hurt. I know ESPN was always like there was a certain per diem and this number that you're allowed to accept from a corporate sponsor or someone you're coming. There was some sort of I remember being in the do the old jerk off motion. I was in some sort of training where they told us this, even though I wasn't on air talent at the time back in the day. And I'm like, I've never had that meeting at Barstool, at least not as yet. So I wrote in my blog a month ago. I was like, hey, anyone else who wants me to basically review your product, your movie, whatever, DMs are open. Venmo is open, and let's negotiate a price here. Hey, I mean, I got a family upstairs. I got a mortgage on the house. I'd like to have a pool in my backyard. Let's fucking scratch each other's back. Everybody wins. I think I even put a thing if anyone can get me a flight, any airline can get me a flight to Australia, I'll fucking love the hell out of you. I want to go meet my Australian brothers and sisters. I think I'd have a famous time there. I'd enjoy it famously. That's not an Australian phrase. I'm trying to make that a phrase. It's not real. I want to be like Bob Fox. I want to have the raspy voice from all the flying.
Yeah, no, you really don't. Although on the plane there, I watched John Wick 4. Oh my God, Clem, this movie was everything that it's been hyped up to be and more. Might be my favorite movie I've seen all year. It was fucking unbelievable. Also, you've got Donnie Yen in it, who played, I believe his character name was Chirrut in Rogue One. He's the blind guy. I'm one with the Force. The Force is with me. Yes. One with the Force. Bro, he's playing a blind guy again, and he's just as badass.
He's getting typecast as the badass blind guy. That is a wild way to just be kind of cornered. But who doesn't always root for the badass blind guy who's fighting against all odds? So I'm kind of
he's so badass, and it's just he's perfected the art of doing martial arts when not looking at his opponent. So you put sunglasses on him, and he's looking the other way, hitting you with 12 punches and kicks from every direction. It's like, oh my God. Everything it's been hyped up to be, John Wick 4 is. It is probably the best movie in the franchise. I put it above 1, which says a lot. It 2.5 hours, long run time. It did fly by. It really did. There's action sequences that are 15 minutes long. You get halfway through the movie, or it was a half an hour in. No big action sequences yet. And I'm like, what is going on? This is John Wick. And then the next half hour of the movie is one action sequence. And I'm like, all right. They made up for it. Keanu, he's in his bag. Everything about it. It's amazing.
Yes. And again, no one has to worry about spoilers because I have not seen it yet. However, we talked about I'm going to watch it this weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend. The kids are off. Friday and Tuesday of this Memorial Day weekend, along with obviously Monday, because of extra snow days that didn't get used. So I am going to have night times where I just need to unwind, watch some silly, brawling gunfights, all that kind of stuff going on. And I've been dying to see this movie. And every time I wanted to watch it, because of the almost 3-hour runtime, it would be well, I'd love to, but I have to pick up a kid here, drop off a kid here. Mets or, some sort of the Knicks were in the playoffs during that time. So there was always something going on, but I have it locked and loaded on the TV, turn off the lights, gonna, make some popcorn at home, and we'll probably do like a little, if you want to do a little mini recap, maybe on the next episode, we could do a little John Wick talk, because that I've heard like unanimously from everyone that has seen it. A lot of people at Barstool were like, the runtime, it scares you. Trust me, every single minute of it goes by like in fast forward, which like I can tell you right now, the movies that has happened before in the theater, Departed, Dark Knight, what was the other one? Wolf of Wall Street. Like all those movies where I'm like, I just felt like I was on a ride. I'm like, oh my God, it's like a roller coaster. No offense, Bob. I'm not throwing up. But I just remember being like, holy shit. And the reason for it, I think, is based on what I've been told, and I don't know if the movie kind of dives into this more, but I've heard they're kind of making the John Wick cinematic universe now. So they're going to have, I think, prequels and TV shows and all this kind of stuff. So like you have to almost watch this movie. And the fact that people, and trust me, you are not the first and probably and almost definitely not the last to say the fourth movie is the best of the franchise, which I am going to venture to say has never happened in the history of movie franchises. I have heard Fast 5 is a lot of people's favorites. I haven't watched any of the Fast and Furious, which is bananas in itself. But Fast and Furious is almost like its own genre. It's like a fairy, it's like a fairy tale of a movie. I don't even know how to explain it. And I guess John Wick, from what I gather with Fast, is kind of in the same boat where it's just over the top, crazy action and wildness. But I'm very, very, very excited to see it. I don't even know if I saw John Wick 3. Do I have to see John Wick 3 to see John Wick 4? Because now I have to carve out another like 2-something hours in my weekend here for that.
I think you should. I think you probably should see John Wick 3. At least maybe you could watch a recap video or something, but there's so many good action scenes in John Wick 3 as well. There's a crazy knife fight. He fights Boban in a library. Like, it's worth watching for sure.
It's kind of sad I don't know if I've watched it because it's just John Wick is just so much sensory crazy shit that goes on. I don't even know if I've seen a knife fight with Boban. So I'm going to say I haven't. I feel like it's one of those things your brain does not allow you to forget. But I think this might become like a running thing here in the basement where we're talking John Wick prequels or sequels and all that other kind of shit. I think so. And I also have to put my hand up. I said it to someone. I don't think it was on a podcast or anything. I really, really messed up in our bars and restaurants for movies and TV draft. The Intercontinental is just one of those cool ass. The Continental. I can never remember which one. It's one of just those coolest places. I don't even know what happens there, but it just seems like a place that I should have had on the graphic. And the real ones know, the John Wick fans. And also, R.I.P. my dog. Cedric Daniels from The Wire. He was a big part of John Wick as well. So is he in the, without giving it away, is he in the? Okay. So John Wick talk to get the pod started.
You'll love 3 for him. He gets like some badass scenes in 3.
Yeah, awesome. Big fan of him.
Also, the Fast and Furious comparison, you saying it's like a different series, different genre. I completely agree. I feel like it's the MCU for car kids. Like the kids that went to Scholastic book fairs and didn't buy comic books, they bought car posters. I think that's basically just the MCU for them. They split it, and it's like, here, the nerds get this, and the cool kids get this, even though it's basically just like an MCU movie with Vin Diesel.
I think that's a perfect way to put it. And again, I've said this in the past. I feel like Fast and Furious is one of those movies you either watched like one of or like caught a couple glimpses of, or you've watched every single one on opening night. There's really no in between. There's no one who's like, I watched 7 of them. It's like, no. You're in for a penny, you're in for a pound, or whatever the hell the goddamn saying is. I feel like that's the way it is with the Fast and the Furious movies. Like our boy Feidelberg, I know him. He's like, he's basically my source. I'm like, Feidelberg, what do you think about Fast? And I mean, he's always going to say he loves it, right? It's kind of like Robbie and Star Wars. Robbie, what'd you think of the latest Star Wars project? I cried 7 times. It's like, okay.
Absolutely. Let's tell everyone about one of our favorite sponsors before we go forward with some awesome comic book news. During the prime spring season, you need wholesome, convenient meals to energize you for warmer, more active days and to keep you on track for reaching your goals. There's only one company that can help you do that. It's Factor. Factor can help you fuel up fast with your ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door, and you'll save time, eat well, and tackle everything on your to-do list. They offer delicious, flavor-packed options on the menu that can fit a variety of lifestyles, from keto to calorie smart, vegan, veggie, protein plus. These are all prepared by chefs and approved by dietitians, and each meal has all of the ingredients you need to feel satisfied all day while meeting your goals. If you're looking to mix it up, you can add a protein to a vegan and veggie meal, do the opposite. This May, they've got a bunch of stuff for clean eating without the hassle. So choose your meals, enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered directly to your door. They're ready in 2 minutes. You literally just pop these in the microwave. It's not like you have to really do anything. Head to factormeals.com/Robbie50, ROBBIE50, and use that same promo code Robbie50 to get 50% off your first box. That's code Robbie50 at factormeals.com/Robbie50 for 50% off your first box. I love Factor. They became a sponsor on the podcast months ago. We get a little free sample thing or whatever, and immediately I renewed it, and I just pay for Factor now. It's that good. It's worth paying for. I love it. Go to factormeals.com right now.
The little shots of them too is perfect. I love it.
Yeah. The first thing that I wanted to bring up news-wise is that Across the Spider-Verse reviews are out. There were some screenings. We have not seen the movie. This was a movie that I was genuinely worried about, Clem. I was like, the first one is literally perfect. How can you ever top the first one? People are saying they fucking topped the first one. The reviews right now are that this is one of the greatest, if not greatest, animated movie to ever grace the big screen. People are comparing it to the Toy Stories of the world and the Finding Nemos of the world and the Incredibles of the world. I don't know if I should necessarily buy in yet, because that is just setting yourself up to fail expectation-wise. But my God, I think they lived up to the first movie.
I was wincing, Bob, when you're telling me, oh, the Spider-Verse, yada, yada, yada. I was wincing. I'm like, what is he going to hit me with here? What kind of reviews are we getting? Then we're throwing around the TS word. And listen, in this house, Toy Story, that's hollowed ground that you're standing on. Toy Story, Lion King. I need someone who's seen the movie and also has kids. Give it to me on the Moana scale. Are we talking better than Moana or worse than Moana? Because Moana is currently sitting on the throne in the animated movies. If it's even a thought, if they even have to think about it, that you have, I mean, they have my fucking ticket anyway. I've already told the kids we're going. We're already all hyped up. It is one of those things that did sneak up. This snuck up on us, didn't it?
Totally.
June 2nd, I believe. Is that when it comes out?
Yep.
Something around then. I mean, I'm excited now. I'm excited. I really liked the first one. I think I've told you this in the past. I had a copy of the first one. And there's a good 20 minutes where it's unfinished animation. So it was like black and white and just pencil drawings. And I just thought it was part of the movie because it was wacky like that. Turns out I just had it like a fucking pre-release copy of it. So I was so fucking confused. And I'm not gonna lie to you, kind of dragged in that part, in my opinion. Then I watched it. I was like, oh, this is the right movie. So I am extremely excited. Whoever is in charge of all this stuff at Sony should just be the new guy in charge of the Spider-Man in the regular Sony, along with still having Marvel's hand to get, or put that person in charge of Venom, put him in charge of basically any Marvel characters they have over there. But yeah, very exciting times in the basement here. And like Miles Morales, I feel like he's going to have his big time moment in like the next 5 years where he's going to have like, you know, in live action and shit like that. They kind of alluded to it in the last Spider-Man about the Black Spider-Man and stuff like that. I'm excited. Bob's, again, this is a Bob thing right here. He's a Spider-Man guy. I'm excited. Obviously, you have Cap coming back, but it's not really Cap. It's Falcon posing as Cap. I don't want to get canceled, but it's just a case.
He is Cap,
But now you're getting another Spider-Man into this world, and I don't know the next time Tom Holland's going to be on the screen. So let's go, boys.
Hopefully he's in this movie. I want Tom Holland in this movie. I want Tobey Maguire in this movie. I want Andrew Garfield in this movie. If you're doing a Spider-Verse in the live action universe and then you're doing it in cartoon, there's no excuse. I mean, you could animate those characters, put them in the cartoon. People are already trying to like dissect the background frames and be like, I think that one's Tobey. Meanwhile, all the Spider-Men pretty much look the same. I mean, there's a little variation and whatnot. I do like in this one, some of the Spider-Men are straight up just drawn different. Like, I think Spider-Punk, the kind of rock star, like British Spider-Man, is drawn very scratchy and like the WWF scratch logo. Like, he's a little more, he has an edge to him. I like all of that stuff. I love the art style of the first movie, and it looks like they just pushed it more forward with this one. I saw the directors tweeting like there were like over 1,000 animators just on this movie alone, which I think makes it the biggest animated movie in terms of crew like that. I can't be more excited for it. I'm also excited for the soundtrack. It's another one of those that's like, it's not Guardians in that it's not going to be a ton of songs that you know probably, but they nailed it last time. Between Sunflower, the Biggie needle drop in the middle of it, like there's so many What's Up Danger. There's so many good musical moments in that first movie, which I've rewatched as much as any superhero movie at this point. So I can't wait for this one. And like you said, it really did sneak up on us. The fact that this is like next week is crazy.
Yeah, we've had our minds with different, obviously the releases with the shows, and then a couple of the big tempo, like Guardians and Ant-Man and all that stuff. And the Flash is coming down the road too. So it's a lot of stuff coming up. And yeah, man, that music is so goddamn good. The kids were like, Sunflower is like my kid's favorite song for a while from that movie. The Biggie drop, you just got me even more excited for all this. And my favorite part about the first movie is that they embraced the ridiculous side of Spider-Man. They embraced the emo dance. They embraced the ice pops that always were like Spider-Man looked like a goddamn freak because he would melt and stuff like that. So when you're able to poke fun at yourself, I mean, it's kind of the barstool in us, right? I realized all my favorite jokes in my blogs back in the day that Portnoy would talk about like on the rundown or whatever were always me poking fun at myself. So it's like, I think everyone has that self-deprecating side of them. I appreciate they can. What I need is anybody listening or watching, again, subscribe on YouTube, thumbs up, comment, 5 stars, all that kind of stuff on the podcast. If anyone has reviewed this movie and seen it, I need 2 things. If this movie was played at Cannes, how long would the standing ovation be? And would it be from 1 to 10, how thunderous would the ovation be? 10 is thunder just booming from the sky, Thor coming down with Mjolnir on your motherfucking ass. 5 is lukewarm, Indiana Jones 5, and 1, church mouse stuff, absolutely quiet. So I need to know how long the standing ovation would be and how loud the standing ovation would be at Cannes if they played the Spider-Verse movie there.
I love it. That's like our own exit velo stat. We're like, what was the exit velo of the crowds? You know, like
my mom's basement statcast. We just launched it live on the podcast. I love it.
I love it. We got some more superhero news, and this one has to do with the writer's strike. Deadpool 3 is apparently halted due to the writer's strike, as well as Thunderbolts. Deadpool 3, the Deadpool creator, came out and said it's way more of a Wolverine movie, which excites me. Listen, I love Deadpool, but I don't have any issue with you making this a Wolverine movie, especially it being Hugh Jackman's last time. We've heard that 1,000 times, Hugh Jackman's last time, but I think this one may actually be true. He is getting up there in age where he's in his 50s. I don't know if he could get Wolverine body every 10 years. We also saw a post from Halle Berry who said like eyeball emoji, and she had white hair.
Whoa!
So I think we're getting Storm in this. I think she did an amazing Storm in the X-Men movies. She's one of the best parts of those movies, and she's also like iconic in that role. You think of Storm, you think of her. Yeah. Another thing on Deadpool 3. This is the last note I have on it. Ryan Reynolds, due to the writer's strike, legally banned from improv until that's over.
I love when like things like that are said and it's like, well, am I allowed to, you know, and it's like, nope, read it word for word or you're fucked. Shut it down. John Taffer, shut that motherfucker down. If Ryan Reynolds cannot improv, there's no reason to have him in the film at that point, because that's probably some of the best shit we got in Deadpool. And we're not looking to make a bad Deadpool movie here. We have starting in the MCU, you're going to have a lot of wacky shit happening between multiverses, I would imagine. And I need to hear that brain cooking right off the fucking top. So I'm bummed, but do we have any idea? We have to ask Matty Fitz. We have to get Matty Fitz back on. Like, how long are we looking with this writer strike here? Are we dug in? How hard are the heels dug in? I need to know what's going to happen here, because this is going to affect a lot of shit, and this is a big one.
A huge one. I don't know how long it's supposed to last either, but I remember hearing probably like 2 weeks ago at this point that SNL was preparing a season finale for like May 20th if the writer's strike got resolved. And it was going to have, I think, Jennifer Coolidge was going to host and the Foo Fighters were going to be the musical guest. That obviously didn't happen. But based on the fact that they thought it was going to happen, I feel like maybe this will be over soon. I don't know.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I mean, it is such a, and also we have we are Pro Writers Guild here. we support the union. We're with you guys. We had a thing. What was it? I don't know if I was talking with you or someone else. And I think Matty Fitz at least was in the Writers Guild at some point, or I guess once you're in it forever. And we're like, imagine if Matty Fitz couldn't write blogs for us anymore. It's like, sorry guys, I'm in the Writers Guild. And we're like, Matty, you have to cut. Like the Lakers just got swept. This is a huge deal. Like LeBron retires. Matty, you have to do it. And he's just like, hands are tied here, fellas. I'm standing with my guys. Don't want to be a scab. So the Ryan Reynolds thing, that was like, okay, cannot fuck that up 100%. This being more of a Wolverine movie than a Deadpool movie, if it was basically any other character, I'd be like, I don't know. But Deadpool almost being I don't want to say it, like maybe a number 2 in his own movie, it's perfect. He just fucking crushes it with everything. And we've had him leading the way enough times. So having Wolverine as the guy, again, this could be our last time with Wolverine, which with Hugh Jackman, which again, they killed the motherfucker and he's still here. And even though it's Wolverine, it does feel kind of weird. Whatever. We got past it once the trailer came, or the promotional campaign came out. But then you dropped Halle Berry on me, had no idea. And it just got me tingling to those early couple of X-Men's. They just fucking nailed that cast, huh? And I mean, so you had Hugh Jackman, who basically like his whole career was spurned because he actually nailed the Wolverine. Storm with Halle Berry. Famke Janssen as Jean Grey. I liked it. I think it could have. I think the character could have went another way, but I also think the writing could have went another way with Jean Grey. Yeah. It feels like they left shit on the table with Cyclops, but I think that was more the way the character was written than the actor. I can't really blame the actor.
Totally. There's rumors that actor's coming back because they left shit on the table with him.
Really? Good for him, too.
There's
I like
rumors
that
they want to, do it right with him.
Is it really messed up that I don't know his name and I've known him forever? He's been in my life for like ever and I still don't know his name.
Is it James Marsden? Was that him?
Yep, James Marsden.
Thinking of a different guy. Yeah.
No, you got it. Obviously, Patrick Stewart, they nailed with Professor X and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it was just
Magneto, Brian Cox's Stryker.
Rebecca Romaine just as fucking Mystique. It's like, why not? Let's fucking
nailed it. Yeah.
I forgot Ray Park was Toad. Oh, I'm looking at
He's so good too. Yeah.
Man, that was
Nightcrawler's so good.
So I started watching the cartoon series again with my kids because I don't know if I said it on the podcast or not. I got AJ all the toys, and
you did, yeah.
And he, by the way, the one toy he said he wanted was Beast. He just fell in love with Beast instantly. So I bought him a Beast toy. But he's like, and my wife was like, "Oh, we got to watch movies with them." I'm like, "Oh shit, we got to watch the movies with them." And it's a little more than the cartoons in terms of violence and stuff like that. But at this point, AJ is more violent than anything that you'll see on the screen anyway. So good, man. Shout out for James Marsden. I'm happy he's going to get another chance to kind of like right the wrongs that were done to him because they kind of
it's not confirmed, but some leakers said that like this is strongly in talks or whatever. He's also very funny in this new show, Jury Duty. I don't know if you've heard of this show. It's basically the Joe Schmo show. They've like ripped off the concept where there's one guy that doesn't know he's in on the reality show and everyone else is an actor. And this one is they have to go through a jury duty case. It's on Amazon Prime. It's so worth watching. James Marsden plays himself, but like a very douchey version of himself. He's like, I shouldn't have to be here. I'm an A-list actor. This is crazy. Like I just got a script from a secret director. Can't tell anyone who it is, but they're pretty famous. Like he's such a douchey, over the top version of himself. Very worth a watch though. Very funny.
He did it right in Sonic too. I didn't see Sonic the Hedgehog Part 2, but in Sonic he did a good job. So shout out to him for
Sonic 2 was pretty good. Not as good as 1, but it's pretty good. Yeah.
Good.
And more MCU news. Thunderbolts, which we just said is delayed due to the writer's strike, will apparently be the movie to connect the current MCU projects together. It'll directly come off of Captain America: New World Order, which we've seen a ton of set videos from recently. Seth Rollins even cast in that movie. He's probably part of the Serpent Society. Those are apparently the villains. He looks very villainous. I think Thunderbolts being the project to connect them is good because we have all of these obviously characters coming together to form a team from different franchises. I also worry a little bit because you would want almost like a Captain America Civil War to connect all of them, where you have all the biggest players. This seems like you're taking a lot of the side characters and connecting them that way. I'll be there, of course. I'm, a Marvel fan till the day I die, but I do worry that using a lesser project to be the one to connect everything when the main kind of knock on this phase is that nothing feels connected. It gives me a little worry.
It almost feels like the Thunderbolts should be the thing to connect all this, because it feels like just the thought of the movie is so disconnected and meh. And like, I'm excited for it, but it's also like, it feels like the Walmart version of the Avengers. It just does, guys.
Or the Suicide Squad, really, to me.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like Marvel Suicide Squad. I don't know which one came first or whatever, but like, I don't know. It just feels like you're like, hey, James Gunn knocked the Suicide Squad out of the park. Let's do that.
And again, we've always tried to be positive, and we always talk about the good things and the bad versus the bad things when we're recapping all these shows and movies this phase. And I know this phase, it's a lot of like, they kind of had to build from fucking the ashes of Endgame, which is like absolutely crazy to do with COVID, to just make a whole bunch of other challenges. And I think, you know, T'Challa was going to be a huge part of this phase, and he just dies, unfortunately. So I don't know, man. My hopes are not very high with this. Like, when I heard delayed, I'm like, take your time and like let those writers have a fucking huge weight to handle this and to make this thing look anything near like a decent project that is apparently very important if it's tying everything together. It's the rug that's tying the room together, like in Lebowski. So I'm hoping it's gonna work. I am very worried right here. I am not feeling good.
It's a small target to hit. Again, we're positive, but it's just a very small target to hit. It's the fucking exhaust port on the Death Star. It's like, listen, we know you've been able to shoot womp rats before, but this is different.
And listen, it's trust to Feige forever and a day. Like, we're pot committed at this point with him. But yeah, I just think of some of those, just some of the Moon Knights that we just go through. Like, it always goes back to Moon Knight, and people loved Moon Knight to their credit. Some of the Miss Marvels and some of the She-Hulks where they're twerking. I'm just like, man, thank God. Like, the biggest highlight of it all is by Guardians. And it's like, well, yeah, they're done. So it's not them. Yeah. They're not going to be really a part of this moving forward. I guess Black Panther had a few good moments too, for sure. So yeah.
Do you think they put that the legendary Star-Lord will return at the end just to be like, even if he won't, let's just make the people think he'll be back. We don't want people to think that these guys are all done.
And so might James Gunn. I know he just signed at DC. Like, that was like the extra credit scene. It was just James Gunn like leaving his office. James Gunn may return. Listen, I know DC just hired him, but we're fucking Disney. We could fucking buy DC, and then we have James Gunn back. That should have been there like super late.
Oh my God, imagine they do that just to get James Gunn back.
I honestly wouldn't put it past, like, that's just how corporations work, is they do something, they reverse it, like they did when they fired James Gunn, reverse it, and then they have to pay out the nose to fix the mistake they made the first time. It would be like, that's an episode of Entourage. Tell me like Ari Gold doing all this shit in Entourage, and then somehow Vinny lands on his feet with the boys and they don't have to move back to Queens.
Yeah, speaking of Entourage, Uncle Dana, not a fan of the suits. We found that out this weekend. He's not a suits guy.
Uncle Dana, you know what? He's a Podfathers guy. He's like, what happened to Podfathers? Like, Uncle Dana, the suits got rid of. He's like, fuck the suits. Fuck them on the third floor. I was like, and you had to be the guy who had to clean up the mess. I apologize. You know, I've been there before. That was awesome, Bob. Shout out to you for asking it. The conspiracy theories, I think they were being floated when he made his comments on the back of each other. Like, oh my God, Barstool to that. And then he just comes out and says it. And it's true, man. Hey, we are not a suit podcast. Look at these guys. We're wearing hoodies. We're wearing hoodies today.
Hoodies.
Suits.
Hoodie guys.
The basement is an open place. You want to be in the basement, come in. You wear a suit in the basement, you're getting kicked the fuck out. You could just basically, if you want to take the suit off, you're wearing an undershirt, underwear, socks, that's okay in the basement. You ain't wearing a suit in the basement. No suits allowed. That might be the new. There's our hashtag for today.
That's a good hashtag.
No suits allowed.
Yes.
No suits allowed.
No suits allowed. Listen, if you're coming to the basement wearing a suit, it better be a super suit. Let me tell you that much. It better be spandex. Star Wars news. We got one piece of Star Wars news today, a piece that I'm so excited about. It's a rumor, so don't take this as a confirmed news item. It's just from like a leaker. I think it was like Big Screen Leaks. Said Temuera Morrison will indeed return as Captain Rex in Ahsoka. And I love this. There's no one else that could play Rex, obviously, in the live action universe. We got to see Temuera Morrison as like a hobo clone in Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yep. And I loved even like following up on that, seeing Temuera Morrison in that role. Actually, Captain Rex is one of the most beloved Star Wars characters ever. Comes from the Clone Wars, went all the way through Rebels. In Rebels, he's an older guy. He's got a white beard, kind of a bigger guy. And then in Return of the Jedi, there is a guy with a white beard in the background of Endor that people like to point to and say, that's Captain Rex. He made it all the way to the end. I think Dave Filoni said, like, they're different people, but Rex was there anyway. So we'll see the live action continuation of that story before Return of the Jedi, at least. This is, out of all the clones, probably the one you would want to see the most. Captain Rex is him and Cody. Cody being a bad guy, Rex being a good guy at this point. But goddamn, I hope this is true. It feels like you can't do the Ahsoka show without Rex, to be honest.
I hate to say it, Bob. When you said Temuera Morrison, I started wincing, being like, "Oh God, what do we have in store with Boba Fett right now?" I was very, very concerned. Good for him. I feel like he needs a little bit of redemption in the galaxy, even if it's with a different character. I somehow stumbled upon an old blog I wrote about Book of Boba Fett after it was over, and I was like, they basically turned Boba Fett into a cop. Like, what did we just do? Man, that was a fucking mistake. God damn it.
He tried to get everyone to follow the rules. It's like, I thought you were a warlord.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like you can't even use, like, that's like the W word. And it was Tatooine fucking cancel culture now. What are we doing over there? Like, oh, don't call him a warlord. Call him a fight lord. Like, come on,
call it
man.
the Slave One. It's a starship.
They did that. That's true. So okay, so I'm happy. I think Rex has a lot more pull with you guys, obviously, with all the cartoons and stuff like that, right? So I'm happy for him. I read a quote where he kind of alluded to being upset with the way Boba was portrayed or something like that, but I read it almost as tongue in cheek. I don't think he personally was like, I can't believe people didn't like this. I think he was kind of just going back and forth with it and having some fun with it. So as long as he understands that the Book of Boba Fett was a massive, massive letdown, where the Mando post-credit scene when he knocks fucking Bib Fortuna off the throne was like the highlight of the series. Again, that was another thing, man. We ate a lot of shit the last year or two, man. We've had to eat a lot of shit with the MCU and Star Wars shows that were thrown. But, Andor, got some Mando. WandaVision kicked Andor it all off once upon a time. Andor was fucking awesome. I wrote in my Galactic Star Cruiser blog, I was like, man, all the Star Wars shows have been crap, basically, other than Mando. And someone hit me up and was like, Clem, are you fucking shitting on Andor? Did you make a mistake? I'm like, I fucked up. That's on me. Forgot about Andor. I was just thinking of Book of Boba Fett. And Obi-Wan was just a letdown. There was like all the Vader scenes were cool.
It was the same as Book of Boba Fett for me in that, like, it was so much of it was a letdown because they gave us glimpses of what it could be.
Yeah.
Like you give us in Book of Boba Fett when he gets the Slave One back and he chases down those people that like killed all the Tuskens and he just lights them up. When he fucks the people up in Tashi Station, just no armor, no nothing, just fucks everyone up. That was like what this show could be. The Mando episodes, obviously, what this show could be, the level of quality that this show could be. Obi-Wan, you give us that fight with Darth Vader. You give us some back and forth with Beru and Owen. Like Beru and Owen were great in that whole series.
We had a whole Beru that we got show pitched on that.
Yeah, she stayed strapped. She had like little compartments for guns and shit. So they gave us the glimpses of how good it could be. And then a lot of the episodes wound up being like, chase Princess Leia through the forest, flee. And it's like, whoa, what's going on,
I forgot about the chase scenes with Prince little Leia running. Oh, and the whole thing where
hiding her in the coat.
Leia, it felt kind of weird.
Oh, yeah, it was a little weird.
Oh, they did the coat thing too. Oh, yeah. Bob, you're killing me right now. I remember the Spy Kids and like the old fucking scooter the candy painted scooters and shit like that.
Yeah, they were tough too.
We ate a lot of shit.
But then you got the Rancor at the end. Boba Fett riding a Rancor that Danny Trejo gave him, and it's like, whoa, this is awesome. Where did this go? Yeah,
it's like they forgot to take the training wheels off.
Ahsoka turns it around. Yeah. Ahsoka's the first one, I believe, I think this summer, August, maybe fall.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure. I think it's the first one entirely written by Dave Filoni. So hopefully that's a good sign.
August 23.
We'll see.
And again, it's
August
trust
23rd.
the Filoni. It's trust the Filoni as much as it is anyone else, right?
Absolutely.
Like it's trust the Filoni as much as it's trust the Feige. Like I believe in that guy.
I trust him with my life.
Wasn't there something with his, or we might have mentioned in the last pod where his movie got like a timeline, right? So they
said it's going to be like Heir to the Empire. I heard since that it's not going to be that. So who knows?
All right. Fair enough.
We got another ad to do. Our friends at Game Time, the exclusive ticketing partner of Barstool Sports, created by fans for fans. Game Time is the ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score last-minute deals on tickets to sports, concerts, shows, and more, and they guarantee the lowest price. I just went to Blink-182 with Nate Dogg right afterwards. Nate went and shattered his entire foot, but that's not Game Time's fault. When the concert was over, we got amazing seats. They hooked it up for an amazing show, blew us away. Even after Nate shattered every bone in his foot, he was like, what a concert. Shout out Game Time.
He said worth it.
Worth it. So worth it. We've talked about it since. He's like, I would do that 10 times in a row again. It's possible with the Game Time map. The biggest last-minute price drops can be found on the seats you never thought you could buy, and the purchase process just takes 2 taps and 10 seconds. Once you buy your tickets, they're delivered directly to your phone, no printer needed, and the app allows you to easily share tickets with your friends via text so you can get into the game seamlessly. I actually did that. I sent Nate his ticket right away. I said, hey, if you got to go to the bathroom, get a beer, whatever, they could check your phone. I don't have to go with you. That's what makes Game Time so easy.
So clutch. Clutch.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Skip the hassle. Enjoy the moment. Download the Game Time app, or you could go to their website, enter your email, and redeem the code MMB for My Mom's Basement for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. I would absolutely recommend going to see Blink-182 while they're on this tour. I really don't think they've ever sounded better in their entire career. I know Taylor Swift also on tour. Era's tour tonight at MetLife. Everyone go check that out if you're looking to spend some big bucks with Game Time. And there you go. Game Time. Shout out Game Time. MMB is the code.
Go for those last-minute tickets. I think usually things drop right before the show. So, I mean, you can get into Taylor Swift for less than a mortgage payment if everything works out perfect for you. And I didn't realize Blink did all these shows in, like, the New York area. It was Barclays and then Long Island as well, right, where the Islanders play. So they did that with the Garden. So just music shows all around. I'm targeting my next show. I know Aerosmith is running their last tour.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I think I got to go back. I'll see if Papa Clem wants to go. It's during Christmas break, December 28th, in Newark. I was going to do the Garden, which is like next
I'll
year.
go with you.
Yeah? You're down? All right.
Yeah, absolutely. Black Crowes are opening. I love the Black Crowes. Love Aerosmith. That sounds awesome.
Nice. All right. So consider it done. We're going to hit up the boys. If you guys want to come join us, we'll all have a big old Game Time party down at down in Jersey, down in Newark. I've never been to the Prudentials, and I heard it's awesome though. So we'll go there.
It is. Yeah, it's really nice. I mean, I don't like it because the Devils play there, but yeah.
Oh my boy, I love Grudge Bob. Nothing beats but Grudge Bob, baby.
All right, let's talk about Succession. So at this point in the podcast, if you're not caught up on Succession, if you're not interested in Succession talk, we're going to get into it. There's one episode left. So big time spoilers, everything about Succession, spoilers. We're giving you a minute to open up your podcast app, close out of it, pause it, do whatever you got to do.
Thumbs up on the
back
YouTube.
After you've seen the penultimate. Yeah, thumbs up on the YouTube, review on the podcast feed, whatever you got to do. Clem, we're days away. As we record this, it's Friday. We are just 2-3 days away from the final episode of Succession ever. It's going to be 90 minutes, a giant-sized episode of Succession. The Matsson deal, is it going to go through? Is it not going to go through? The election, what's going to happen there? They're going to have to recall it, revote, recount, whatever. Tensions are high. I believe, though, that they are actually going to be able to nail this and tie up all the loose ends. I've seen some tweets like, I don't know how they're going to wrap everything up. I kind of disagree with that. I don't feel like there's that much to wrap up. You just have to make sure someone succeeds Logan Roy. We need to have a succession in the final episode, you know? But other than that, like everything else could kind of be whatever to me.
You know what, Bob? I'm with you. I feel like the one thing they need to have in the finale of Succession is an actual succession. However, it would be kind of funny if it was like all the other episodes and seasons where it's like nothing really happened there, I guess. Like, oh yeah, this Matsson deal went through, but it really didn't go through. I forgot. I thought before this season, I'm like, oh, that's right, the Matsson deal happened. And then once the season started, I'm like, oh, it never was like rubber stamp signature. And we've now like everyone got their money in the bank, you know, like Portnoy and Kevin and Big Cat and everybody. We're still in this fucking limbo with the finale coming up. I do think, so let me just say, that would be very funny. It would suck. It would absolutely suck. It would basically turn into like Sopranos 2.0 when everyone was mad about it cutting to black. But it would be funny if they did that. There's a lot of like, I think it's the atomic bomb where I've seen how Like there's like a little thing that goes down, the atomic bomb, like the way the nuclear reaction works. I feel like the penultimate, where the wick has been lit, right? We're on the point, and there's going to be an explosion. By the way, so we can talk about the last episode as well. I thought that was a good penultimate. I like, it wasn't Game of Thrones style where, all right, I almost said a Game of Thrones spoiler, even though it's like decades old at this point, but there was no major oh fuck moments, but I think it set us up for the oh fuck moments this episode. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. And I mean, the Shiv moment at the end was kind of an oh fuck moment where like Craig rats her out and everyone realizes Shiv is playing both sides. She's playing for Matsson. It's tough for the Shiv wagon. I think she might have just fucked herself.
The Shiv wagon, let me just tell you, the Shiv wagon, it's been a bumpy ride. I mean, you want to talk incompetence with Frank the Tank on the New Jersey Transit? Oh. I feel like someone from the New Jersey Transit is driving this
bumpy ride.
Oh, little Prego joke.
Get it?
That's a boy, Robert. That's why I love you, baby.
Bumpy ride.
She
also, oh my God, she can't get a break telling people that she's pregnant. She tells her husband, he's like, is that a fucking another strategy that you're playing against me? She tells her brother, he's like, oh, is it mine? Like Roman, that little creepy fuck.
He's such a creepy fuck. Hey, everyone's playing their cards at this point. They're all looking at their calendar like, oh shit, next week's the finale. We have to start playing all our cards. Like, you don't hold your wild cards in Uno, especially the draw fours, when everyone else is getting down to 1 or 2 cards. You just start throwing it, and that's your draw 4, is throwing the old Prego line out there. So I respect it. However, the biggest problem with the Shiv wagon right now is that the penultimate episode ends. She's smirking. She's feeling good. Matsson tells her a U.S. CEO. He can see he's sold on it. He thinks Mencken will buy it. And I'm like, Shiv, you're not the only American in this show right now. There's a lot of other people from the U.S. and a lot of other people who are probably going to be sitting better just because you had like a good dinner. So it's kind of like the team that gets hot before the playoffs. And I'm like, that doesn't mean you're going to win the Super Bowl. So I'm very worried from the Shiv. Now, listen, I was talking shit on Twitter the other day. I just had a picture of my little goat riding his little train with the Shiv wagon, like I did when I had Bran Stark go all the way to the throne. Yeah. I'm going to spoil that part for you guys if you haven't seen Game of Thrones. Come on, be an adult. It's fucking Game of Thrones. Watch it live. But I'm very concerned for Shiv. I mean, I guess we could talk about Shiv first.
Yeah.
Okay, there's 2 people here. The head of the Shiv wagon, she's going to be the CEO. She's going to wear the crown. She's going to wear the throne. The rational person whose initials are JC, my real name, I fully admit I am very, very worried about the Shiv wagon right now. Is that fair to say?
I don't think it's going to end well for Shiv. I don't think it's going to I don't think she's going to go down in flames or it's going to be like horrible. I think that might be Tom. I feel like Tom is fucked. Nobody really likes Tom on either side right now. I think Tom's fucked. I think Greg is going to fire Tom. And I mean, Greg is going to wind up in, like, I don't think he's going to be CEO or anything. I've seen some people saying, like, I think Greg is going to be the guy all the way at the top. But I think he's going to wind up in, like, a very, very good spot under Kendall, maybe under Matsson as well. I think Kendall's going to be the final guy. And I think it's going to be a true, like, almost like a Shakespearean tragedy type ending where it's like he is Logan. I think I've mentioned this on the show where he throws his family to the side and loses everyone for the sake of the company and then realizes, oh, I did exactly what my father did. And I'm the person that I don't want to be.
It feels very much end of Godfather, Michael Corleone getting his hand kissed, Kay watching the door close on her face. And he's already done it with the kids a bunch of times. Hey, I'm doing this all for them. I'm like, I don't remember what your kids look like, Kendall. Like at this point, yeah. I know you named your kid Iverson. I don't think he does. Yeah, exactly. I know you named your kid Iverson, which is like one of the funniest things. It's such a guy who's coming up in his 20s and 30s in the 2000s, like a fucking rich dude in New York naming his kid Iverson. I love it. Don't get me wrong. But like, I think the poison drips through was the quote about it. And I feel like he is going to become, or he's at least going to try to become the killer that Logan always wanted. And that's the thing. I could see the killing either going towards someone else where he's, is the one to officially cut Shiv's legs out, cut Roman's legs out and becomes, number 1 on the, org chart, Or it kind of like Yosemite or Elmer Fudd, someone puts their finger in the gun, he pulls the trigger and it blows up right in his face, right? Like that feels just as much a thing because he kind of does fuck up at like the most inopportune moments. So I'm very interested to see what happens with Kendall. I feel like Kendall at the end, all these people, Crash and Burn, they all have golden parachutes, right? For the most part. Yeah. I do think there's one character that might have some real tragic ending, but I think Kendall will end up being fine. It just might be he's watching someone else run his company, his father's company, I should say, from afar with billions of dollars he's sitting on. So I'm with you on Kendall, my number one boy, which is that's what all the Kendall people call themselves, they chant number one boy. That's their that's their catchphrase. So I love that. Back to the Greg.
Is there any chance? Sorry, I was going to say, is there any chance Kendall has a change of heart where he realizes what he's becoming and says, fuck it, I don't want this, and goes back and tries to be a good parent and good, I don't know, co-parent with Rava?
So that's a good question. I think last episode and even the previous episode with the election, I think that's basically Anakin, orange eyes, tear coming down the cheek. He basically, the younglings, he was ready basically for his kids to potentially get trampled over by an angry rioting mob just so she could come to the grandfather's funeral or whatever. Kids don't, not going to your grandfather's wake is a tough look. Or I guess it was the funeral. Funerals are kind of tough for kids. I would have been all right, especially with the
kids don't gotta be there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that was the moment where we lost Kendall. Do you think that's the moment we lost Kendall, or do you think there's still some good in him? I can sense it.
I think we lost him. I've seen some people saying he'll have the change of heart, he'll break the chain or whatever. I think we lost him.
And if he does end up with the crown, there's going to be one big reason he has the crown. And you know what that reason is, Bob? What's talking the doggy dog, Hugo, woof woof, line of maybe the fucking season. I'm telling you, I'm going to say nominated for line of the season for Succession, which I would love someone to list them all from this season, because woof woof is up there with basically the wasabi scene, because I howled when I heard him say that. And he's the way Kendall was so he's you're going to come with me and you're not going to be along for the ride, really. You're not going to be my number two. You're just going to be my dog. And he says, woof, woof, just pure corporate greed. That's the kind of soup we don't allow in the basement, because those motherfuckers will, chew on your leg and eat off your plate when you're not looking. So, but it's absolutely fascinating to watch on TV. So I'm kind of interested to see just as much what happens with the Hugos and all the other hyenas.
Carl.
Jerry, Carl, and who's the other one? Frank. So the Frank side
Frank.
of it too.
Frank
is
winds up okay.
Yeah, me too.
I've always liked Frank.
Frank and Kendall had a really good relationship, right? Because I think Kendall
really good.
And all right. I'm gonna make a prediction here. Kendall's gonna slit Frank's throat along the way. Somehow, some way, he's gonna fuck over Frank.
That would hurt.
Which is and it's gonna meant to hurt us. This is a lot of I'm gonna have to read all the recaps Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of all the how this relates to Shakespeare or some fucking play and stuff like that. I do think Frank being the one to take a real slit of the throat. I also appreciated him Kendall going to Logan's old bodyguard, who seemed to actually care about him and was hey, you want to come with me? And he was kind of conflicted at first. So I'm interested to see how all that plays out.
So am I. Now, when we have the other characters, the Gregs, the other Romans, I think Roman fucked himself by crying at the funeral. I think everyone's seeing that weakness out of him. He fucked himself. He was on a good trajectory. Greg and Kendall were both mentioned on that sheet from Logan. Greg with a question mark, Kendall crossed out or underlined. Will we get an answer to what happened there? I could see we haven't gotten any flashbacks, and that's not Succession-like. But could there be a flashback of Logan let me cross this out? And then we see he actually was, or something like that, to end the show. Wouldn't that be kind of cool?
I would love that. I've read somewhere that someone was a fan theory that he wrote that after Kendall did the rap at the birthday party. And I love
L
that
to
so
the
OG. Yeah, L to the OG.
I saw someone say he should have done a rap at the funeral, L to the OG RIP.
And speaking of that, in the penultimate, Roman, I'm 100% with you. I think everyone agrees. Roman showed on the big stage, couldn't come through. I always think of that rocket launch And he's just watching it on the phone. It's like, oh, like
just
that
puts it back on his pocket.
Yep, the best thing that could have happened to Logan, for Roman and for Waystar, whatever else it's going to become, is that Roman fucked up because he was just not going to be good for them. But Kendall really fucking saved it with that speech. That was as good a Kendall as you can get, I thought. I kind of want to see this now. I kind of would love to see it, and I could almost see like Portnoy doing something like this. Like is like Big Cat underlined and Robbie Fox question mark, and it's just
I was gonna say who gets the question mark? Dave? Like some weird like someone like Nate maybe would get the question mark, like Nate question mark. It's someone you wouldn't expect.
Yep. And it's like I can see Nate. Yeah, I can see Nate. And like Greg.
Yeah, he's been saying he's second in command of the company, right? I mean, boom.
Greg is moving up. Yeah, exactly. Greg is moving up the power rankings right now. Like I feel like in Vegas right now, they're like, shit, like this guy's making a charge out of nowhere. And a lot of the theories have been, we talked about it here. He fires Tom. Feels like the perfect way to go out. I remember earlier in the season, I think the day, no, it wasn't the day Logan died. It was a previous episode. When he's like, delete these files off the computer. And I was like, I don't think Greg's deleting those files. He knew to save the cruise stuff. He used those cruise papers for as much as he could. It's going to be the same thing with the computer file. Whether or not he gets to become CEO just by being friends with Matsson and having that one night in that weird party, he's calling him, hey, sexy, right? And everyone's like, well, that doesn't mean he'd be CEO. Well, if Matsson is really the like fictional version of like Elon Musk, I would 100% see Elon Musk pulling some sort of silly shit like that, where the new head of Twitter is some dude he fucking dropped mushrooms with and was dancing with at like a Manhattan underground club with Stefan from SNL. Like that's the kind of shit. Yeah. Exactly. So I do think there is a chance that happens. Part of me is like, that seems a little crazy, even for Succession, even though it does feel like a lot of this is like the story of how Greg went from the dude that puked in the mascot costume all the way to the CEO of Waystar just by like hanging out as like a periphery character and coming up with fancy nicknames for the little people he was with at any given moment.
And him giving up Shiv in the penultimate is going to be huge for him. Like that was a huge, like a chess move where it's like, boom, checkmate, motherfucker. I just chose my side, and I chose the right side. I chose the side that's actually going to be on top at the end of this.
That boy ate a lot of shit. That boy ate a lot of shit over the years. He really did. Like they laughed at him and whatever.
So. I mean, even on the last episode, Tom's making him do coke, and he's like, I don't really want to do this. And he's like, did you fake do it? Did you fake sniff? And he's like, no, I did it. It's so funny. And him, the way he kept saying, it's La Croix, it's La Croix. It's just a hint of lemon. Oh my God, he makes me laugh.
He's still getting hung up on too. Like he's like, Tom, hello. Like he's still getting hung up on. And this guy's going to become the CEO. But again, we have a character like Matsson who is such like a untrustworthy dude. He's an X factor. He's a variable. I don't know what to make of him. So that's the thing I think no one's talking about. Is there a chance this Matsson deal does not go through? Because if it doesn't go through, we're kind of at square one now with everything. And then I think with that, and do you think Mencken becomes president, or at least is in this role long enough that the deal, because once the deal goes through, and who cares what happens with the election?
I think Mencken will be president, and I think Kendall will almost have, he already has like a moral dilemma where he's like, did I do this? Like my kids hate this guy. My kids are in danger. Did I make sure he's president? I think Kendall will be left with that feeling, and he will stay president and everything. So I do think the deal will go through. I think there's been too much tease of like trying to get out of it where they're going to be like, oh, fuck, it went through. Like now we got to scramble and figure everything out. One guy that we haven't mentioned, Connor Roy, the firstborn son. The con heads are coming. We've heard it. What is Connor Roy's fate at the end of the season? Is he the fun guy in Uruguay?
Oh, let's see. I'm trying to think of other.
I hope he winds up North Korea.
The most noble in Constantinople. Is that the name? I'm trying to think of like fun places. Do you know where Constantinople? Oh, that was an ancient city. It's in modern Turkey. I can see that little Istanbul for our boy Khan's right there, a little Turkey, and I can see that. Connor's going to be president in 4 years. It doesn't matter where he lands at the end of this episode. I'm convinced he's going to be president in 4 years. All that matters,
that should
Rob,
be the ending, his inauguration. Flash forward to his inauguration.
Yes, exactly. Whether or not ATN's covering it or it's a different branded name at that point, doesn't matter. Our boy Cons, he's kind of just right in the middle, man. This world is so fucking red and blue. It's disgusting. That man is the purple we've been waiting for, the purple savior. And Sweet Willa by his side, he's the real winner. He already won Succession. Once she said I do, the man was the winner. The fucking Conheads were like, that's my favorite thing, is that everyone has their Shiv team, their Kendall team, their Roman team. But we all ride for Greg the Egg and fucking Connor, right? It's so funny how that works. Yeah. I love this show.
Connor's also the guy who, like, he's never really fucked anyone over on this show. Keeps to himself, just wants to be president. That's not a lot to ask, right? Just wants to be president. Like, come on. The conversation between him and Willow, where he's like, "Are you here for the money and everything?" She's like, "The money's nice. Don't get me wrong, but I'm happy." It's like, they're actually a happy couple on this show. They're the only happy couple on this show. It's crazy how that wound up. I wouldn't predict that in season 1, but in season 1, I remember thinking like Willow might be the only likable character on this show. I feel bad for her, but I guess I'm rooting for her. Now I'm rooting for them both. They're a beautiful couple. I hope they have the happiest ending on Succession.
I don't say this often. Kentucky had it figured out. Kentucky had the 1%. Alaska had it figured out. They had 4 to 5% in the numbers. They had it figured out. And there was the rest of the country that was ass backwards. God damn it. Our boy Connor Roy. All I need from Connor is like 2 just Connor lines. And that's all I need. And you just put together that, like, I'm trying to think of a player he's like, where it's like he didn't have the most time on the floor, but when he did, he's kind of like Jason Williams, white chocolate, right? It's like he wasn't, a 10-time NBA All-Star, but when he was on the court, he made memorable shit happen. I guarantee
you'll remember him, yeah.
Guarantee you, this is the only podcast that compare Connor Roy to Jason Williams.
Gotta be. It's gotta be. And that was our Succession circle back / finale.
One more thing, Bob.
Anything else? Yeah.
One more thing. Roman. I do think there's a chance something tragic happens to Roman. I don't know if he dies. I don't know. Yeah, I could see like a suicide. I feel like he's going to be in a really bad place. I also think something with. I don't think Jerry would fuck him over or anything like that. But he obviously.
Oh, I think he might.
Yeah, he's had a lot of. He's done a lot of bad shit to a lot of people. And I mean, he's such a fun character. I mean, all these guys are so awful that if you saw them in real life, you wouldn't piss on them to put them out of a fire. They were on fire. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't spit on them. Yeah. I wouldn't even spit on these guys. But I don't know, man. I feel like something bad's happened to Roman here. If I had to choose, like, who has the grimmest outlook, I think Shiv is going to have that angry, but also sad look in her eyes after she gets the knife in her back from either Tom or Greg as they try to become the U.S. CEO. I think Roman could have the knife slid into his wrist by his own hands, kind of a thing. Because, his situation with his dad, I feel like there was some sexual shit he might have had, and some trauma in his life at some point, which kind of has developed him the way he is now. So because of that, I feel like there could be some really gnarly shit that happens with Roman. I hope I'm wrong. My sweet little Fuller who wets the bed. I don't want to see him grow up and have some tragic shit happen to him. But that's kind of just my thoughts on him. Do you think that?
And everyone's been saying it, but he is getting the Emmy this season. Like that last episode, he's getting an Emmy for sure.
Yep, for sure. And then the again, we talked about it quickly. Carl, Frank, Jerry, the bodyguard. Carrie, by the way, the mistress scene was incredible. Logan would have fucking despised it. And Caroline didn't do it out of the kindness of her heart. She did it because she knew Logan would hate it from whatever, looking up or looking down, wherever he's coming from. She knows he would hate it. And the way
she dominated that too, like Caroline just being like, you over here, you over, like, I was like, oh, shout out Caroline. She's a badass bitch.
Yep. After she just basically told her daughter, like, oh my God, you're pregnant, poor you. And then she's like, hey, let me go make these girls feel uncomfortable. And listen, I've not been a Marsha fan basically from the jump, but like the way she put her hand on Carrie and understood what she was going through, I got to give her credit for that. It's something I didn't think I'd be saying, but shout out to her. Hugo's kind of in that, like, I'm interested to see where all these guys end up. I do think like a couple work out well. A couple of them are just strewn about along the way. I think Frank got fired in episode 1, right? That was the whole thing, is where he fired him. So it would be interesting if Kendall does kind of the same thing. I'm trying to think of any other kind of like bit character. Oh, I would love if somehow, some way, the kid that went for the home run in the first episode comes back. Like, maybe he murders Roman. Because Roman kind of was like dancing on his grave, and then he kills Roman and then dances on his grave, literally and figuratively.
That would be an all-time callback. People be like, "Who is?" It'd be like the end of Endgame when the kid from Iron Man 3 shows up. Everyone's like, "Who is that kid? Do we know him? Are we supposed to know him?"
I was thinking the same thing. Oh man, that's how you know you've been in the basement too long. Is when we're
another podcast. The only podcast that compared Endgame to the finale of Succession like that. I can't wait though. 90 minutes, like I said, it's a full movie, a supersized annual edition of Succession. Sunday night, it's going to be huge. And next week, we'll talk about it. Maybe we'll get Jeff or Kevin. We'll try to get someone to talk about Succession next week. I think that would be fun. And next week will be Across the Spider-Verse.
Oh, man. Content, baby. It's all coming our way. And I just will say, 90 minutes is crazy. This all happening on Memorial Day is crazy, too. The fact they're doing Memorial Day weekend, they said, we do not bend for fucking time. It's not like the calendar came out of nowhere. I think you know Memorial Day is pretty early. And the fact they're saying, no, man, we'll ride with it. And think of all those people in the Hamptons and Montauk who'll be jerking off to this shit from their fancy homes.
Yeah.
Probably our boss. Actually, now that as I say that, I'm thinking
maybe
this is the day we'll be watching on Sunday night, I'm sure. So can't wait to recap.
I'll be down the shore. So if you see me on the Jersey Shore boardwalk, I'll be by the Midway cheesesteak stand all weekend.
Hell yeah, Bob.
I can't wait. Yeah. I'm so excited. All right. Thank you for listening to My Mom's Basement or watching My Mom's Basement this week. Again, if you haven't already, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel or the podcast feed, whatever you're listening on. We appreciate you. Check out John Wick 4 this week because we'll probably talk about that next week or at some point. And Succession, I hope they land this plane. I really do.
Yeah, me too. Crossed. No, have a better ending than Logan did on a plane. That's all we're asking for right now. Hashtag
yes.
No suits allowed.